Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Larry, I want to thank Dave, I want to thank Robin Hood, but most importantly, I want to thank all of you. And I want to share a little bit of my own personal journey because I think it speaks directly to both the need and potential of Zern. I grew up in San Francisco and was fortunate to attend some pretty good private schools on scholarship and received a strong education as a result. But when I would hang out with my friends who attended different schools, I realized how drastically different our experiences were. You see, they attended the local failing public district schools. And whereas my days were defined by motivated peers, by engaged teachers, by challenging curriculum, and by a respect for scholarship and creativity, their days were defined by apathetic teachers, by a lack of resources, by dangerous, violent, and demoralizing circumstances. And the sad and painful result was they dropped out, one by one, two by two, until I was the only one still attending school. And this forced me to ask, why is this happening? And why after 25 years is it still happening? And it's happening because there's a huge gap in school experiences in this country. The great promise of the American dream is not being realized. Some students have an exceptional education, but many, far too many, have a terrible experience. So I vowed early on to fight this inequity. So first I fought as a teacher and tried to provide the 25 to 30 students in my classroom with an excellent education. And it was in my first job as a teacher in Roxbury, Massachusetts, that I came to understand that who I am and what I am at heart is a teacher that wants to impact as many students as I possibly can, which meant that 25 to 30 students wasn't enough. So at 24, I became a school leader, and with the support of Robin Hood, founded Excellence Boys Charter School of Bedford-Stuyvesant, an all-boys K-8 charter school serving about 98% African-American males, a population that for all intents and purposes, schools in this country have historically failed for the past 50 years. And if you want to experience that ongoing failure, all you have to do is jump on the A train headed to Brooklyn after breakfast this morning and get off at the Utica stop. And as you climb those stairs and exit the station, you'll be surrounded by hundreds of men, hundreds of black men, loitering with no job and very few prospects in life. But if you keep walking a few more blocks to 225 Patchen, you'll come to a school where for black boys, being a nerd is cool, where academic achievement is celebrated, and where the most disenfranchised population is thriving and creating positive futures for themselves. This gave me hope, it gave our community hope, and it gave our city hope. And Excellence went on to become one of the highest performing public elementary schools in New York and was able to impact hundreds of some of the most at-risk students and played a critical role in redefining what it means to be an African-American male. But one event that occurred in mid-April every year put everything into perspective and pained me dearly. The admissions lottery for our incoming kindergarten class. Sitting through that torturous 3-hour process, randomly pulling names out of a hat, witnessing the emotions of entire families go from hopeful to pleading to anger to sadness to dejection when their names weren't called. Year after year, we had to turn away hundreds of families, parents who only wanted to give their kids a great education. This weighed heavy on my soul and convinced me that we desperately needed a new solution. Desperately needed a new solution. So, what we did is we gathered together and we found a solution that will hold the promise that no child will be denied access to an excellent education. Because here's what we're up against. There are 54 million students in grades K to 12 in this country right now. 37 million of those students will never graduate from college. 10 million of the 11 million high poverty students will never graduate from college. So with those daunting numbers in my head, 2 years ago, I made a decision to leave Excellence and to join Zern. And those who knew me were surprised, and I heard the same questions over and over again from my wife, from my mom, from my friends, from former students and former parents. Mr. Sawicki, how could you leave excellence? How could you leave the work that means so much to you? How could you leave the young African-American males in Bed-Stuy when that's clearly your mission in life? And I left to do the work, the only work in the world that means more to me than educating young black boys, educating all of our children. And although we have a long way to go, with Zern, that prospect is finally possible. So I'm thrilled and blessed to be a part of something that's truly going to be revolutionary. As we redefine education and teach kids in a way that 10 years ago we couldn't even dream of. So leaving 750 scholars and their families was a little easier, knowing that one day, that someday, we would be able to impact millions. So I want to thank Robin Hood, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank the Zern team for working together to reinvent education that's going to ensure all students have access to what they deserve in excellent education. Thank you.